Okay. All right. We have just had the first half of this afternoon's hearing. Skelton has just given evidence on behalf, well, given his opening statement on behalf of the Metropolitan Police. It was just a big, long list of uh, apologies, admissions of wrongdoing. I don't know how you want to kind of describe it really. Certainly, there is such a marked difference, such an incredibly marked difference from how it used to be. I mean, like, yeah, lots of negative superlatives, lots of talk about how the extreme wrongdoing, the unacceptability. Obviously, that was kind of couched in like an idea. Oh yeah, it's very valuable that undercover policing has got a great policing value, and that the Met really rely on it for so much, and it wouldn't be, he talked about the individual uh, unprofessionalism of officers, the that that certain things were out of control, there were failings, that there was some people who were incorrectly targeted, suggesting that others were correctly targeted, but I mean, this is an overwhelming change of tone from what we used to get. I mean, as Mitting remarked at the end, it's very much in line with how he spoke at the opening statements of Tranche 2. So I mean, this is just kind of more of the same, really, of acknowledgement of the wrongdoings. There was a repetition of some of the apologies that had been given in previous times. Some of the wording from those apologies reiterated again. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. You kind of feel like the the way in which the Met Police, this is the commissioner of the Met, is talking, is very much like, yeah, we got it, yeah, we know we got it wrong. Oh, come on, wasn't it terrible back then? Wasn't it terrible? Um, and like, it's not. It doesn't line up with the way in which that the Met Police are cooperating with the inquiry processes generally. It really it feels like lip service, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't come away like, it doesn't leave you with the sense that, oh, it doesn't feel genuine. It feels like very much just like them reading the room, realizing that they can't defend the indefensible, and just you know um, just like holding their hands up and going, oh, sorry, whoops. Um, Yeah, it wasn't very long, which was always welcome. We would then had uh, Stapleton. I forget his name. Um, Neil Neil Sheldon. That's it. Neil Sheldon. Do apologise. Um, who gave the opening statement on behalf of the Home Office. Um, that was I mean, just this idea that somehow the Home Office had nothing to do with the undercover policing. They'd never, hadn't even really heard of it. That they had no idea of any wrongdoing ever by any of the undercover officers. Um, yeah, it basically said they had no knowledge, denied any responsibility ever. He then spent ages going through the legislation and guidelines that were published during the time period. Um, I think anybody who was following the inquiry as closely as to be watching these opening statements would be very aware of all this legislation. Certainly, the inquiry themselves are aware of the legislation. I don't know whether he was, as an individual, justifying his role as a lawyer by padding out his opening statements so that his client felt they were getting their money's worth, or just simply he didn't have much else to say. I mean, certainly, I mean, like, it did like beg the question, if they were passing all this legislation, bringing all these guidelines in, didn't that suggest that maybe the Home Office was aware that there was significant problems with the undercover policing practices as they were, and that they had to bring in legislation specifically in order to manage and direct the way in which the undercover officers were behaving? I mean, that's the impression was certainly left with. I don't think. I mean, he directly addressed that and said, "Oh no, that just happened. It just happenstance. It just so happened that the Home Office was passing this kind of legislation at the same time as as abuses were going on. It wasn't in response to anything. They just felt like it at the time. Very unconvincing, incredibly unconvincing. Um, yeah, not a lot to be learned from that one particularly, apart from just to really, to hammer home the message that the Home Office, despite the fact that, I mean, it's responsible for setting up the inquiry, it has the ability to, well, one of the things that many of the people affected by the deployment of undercover officers have asked for is that the inquiry have alongside it a panel of people who may understand these issues better than the chair and advise the chair on these recommendations. It's completely avoided doing that in any meaningful way. It hasn't done it. I mean, it hasn't done. At the end of the day, the Home Office was responsible for setting up this unit. The Home Office is responsible for policing. The idea that it has no responsibility, no knowledge, it just doesn't bear any sort of like just basic scrutiny. Talked about the way in which the previous reports had looked about how communication between the SDS and the Home Office had been destroyed, but that it all been marked as secret or top secret. I mean, and it was so unequivocal. It was unequivocal. Like, no, nothing, never, no, never, nothing, not one little bit, never, no, nobody's, and there's no evidence of it either. One person said it, but they weren't believable. And if anybody else says it, I'm sure the inquiry will realise that they're lying. It was just like, oh, come on, mate, pull the other one. It's bells on. Really not credible. Not a credible presentation at all. We should have then had Oliver Saunders afterwards. However, Oliver Saunders somehow is a KC. I don't understand how. He represents the designated officers. That is the actual undercover officers themselves. So whilst the Home Office or the Met Police might throw these officers on the bus, supposedly they've got their champion. I mean, like, I'm not feeling sorry for them, but like having him as a champion, Jesus, Oliver Saunders to represent them. He wasn't expecting to give his evidence until 3:30, so he's not available. He's not available until 3:30. I would imagine that's because he's currently working out what he's going to say. I've been consistently underwhelmed by the delivery and the content of what Oliver Saunders has said in relation to his role as the representative for the designated officers. He's nothing short of appalling, quite frankly, at his job. Seems deeply unprofessional. This always seems to happen. We always have that thing where, like, oh, that didn't take as long as we thought. Oh, we'll have the next lawyer to speak. Every other lawyer is always available. Oliver Saunders never is available. Don't know. I mean, I guess partially that's because nobody else would want this job. I'm shocked that anybody. I mean, the fact that he wants this job says more about him than anything else, really, I guess. But yeah, so we're waiting for him. He'll be back in about half an hour now. 3:30. He's due to return. It wouldn't surprise me if he was late. I'm sure that things that he has to say will be infuriating and just offensive. I'm expecting to be irritated by him. As ever, I'll be reporting on exactly what is said on Twitter as it happens. I'll hop back and do another live at the end of the day. I'm not sure. So I've done these on Instagram in the past. I might do Instagram again at the end of the day because it gives the opportunity for people who also have seen it to join me on there. I'll have a bit of a break and then I'll do a audio on Twitter Spaces, which anybody can join. Anybody can listen to. You don't need a Twitter account or X account, whatever they call it now, in order to listen. I'll be posting that on my Twitter account. You can find the links to all this stuff at spycops.info. I'll be back again. I can't imagine Oliver Saunders is going to be doing it for too long, so he's due to join us at 3:30. If it goes on much past 4, I'll be surprised. So see you later on. Thanks for joining. Bye for now.